All right, what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to go through a few load boxes here. We got the SIR, we got the PS100 by Fryette, and we got a Rivera Rock Crusher recording. So we're going to go through these and see which one would be good or better or ideal for your situation. This video is based off of basically the quad Cortex. So what I'm going to be doing is getting captures of these two amps, the Marshall 1 watt DSL. So we're going to get the clean, or I should say partly gain. So the clean channel is actually a gain and clean. So the more you turn it up, the more gain you get out of it. Then we're going to also do the Ultra Gain on that. We're going to test it out with all three low boxes. And we're also going to do the Peavey Ultra Plus. We got 3 channels for each of that. So there's going to be 15 captures. So we're going to try to go ahead and get all this done today. We're going to go through each of these and see which one sounds better for the quad Cortex, which one captures. Now, keep in mind that for these captures, depending on your load box, certain load boxes work better than others for certain amps. So there is a lot of variabilities with this. So just keep that in mind too. So we're going to be playing a little bit of guitar here. And we will compare it to the actual amp afterwards. We'll go through each one of these load boxes because each of them has different things that they can do. And we'll go through them and just talk about them. All right? So let's go ahead and talk about some of these load boxes here. All right, so we got this SIR reactive load, not just a load box, meaning that it has a certain way it reacts. It's supposed to act like just like a cab, and how the response between the amp and the cab works together. So these are really good to get accurate stuff. This box in particular is cool because it has a speaker out. So you could do your line level amp, but also have it hooked up to the speaker cabinet and hear everything that's coming out of it. So you can get your tones just right the way you want it with that specific cab. That's pretty much all that this one has. There is another one that's out there that has an IR loader as well. So, but this one is just straight load box and DI levels. Now, the power station is probably the most versatile of the few here. What's cool about this one is it is a load box. It is a reactive load, which can engage some of these switches here. It also is a power amp. So first it turns your amp into, you could put any kind of amp in it, and it can even change the ohm impedances for each of these. It also can take like this 1 watt amp and make it a whole hell of a lot louder. This PS100 being 100 watts, I think it's a 50 watts per channel here. I'm not sure. It might. I'll have to look that up. But you can take little amps and make them sound gig level. So that's another cool thing that's with this guy. So this actually has an effects loop in it as well. So that's really good for running preamps. Like if you have a preamp, you want to just stick on top of this guy and just run it through the return of this, it sounds great. And it has a button on it to make it the level high or low. So those low level preamps and stuff, you know, because they're not pushing out much power, it can, you know, boost that power up so it's, you know, putting out that much more volume out. So I do definitely love this power station. So good job on that, Fryette. So our last one is going to be the Rivera Rock Crusher recording. It's a load box. It is not a reactive load. What is cool, it does have like a little equalization piece here. You can kind of put some warm and the edge on it. It's also an attenuator, which the Fryette is as well. So what's cool about this is it's great for studio stuff. You can get those big warm tube sounds and attenuate it down really low. And this, I don't know, this is probably the best attenuator that I've found out there. What is also cool about this is this side. This side, you can mimic pretty much any kind of speaker out there. So this EQ, they have some, like in the manual, they have some things that say hey, if you want a V30, make it this way. Whatever line level you go from your amp into this guy, you can actually turn the EQ on and have unlimited possibilities with how you want to shape and tone your tone. So there we go, those are load boxes. Let's go ahead and get to work. And what I'm gonna do for this first one is I'm gonna keep the EQ at noon. Okay, we'll do the clean first, and then we'll do the gain. One of the things I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to put my headphones on so I can take a look at the sample of the capture. So that's kind of something you guys are gonna have to trust me on. If you got a load box that has a power amp with it, then you can get those kind of results because you can route it back out to the your load box and push it through. I don't have a separate power amp to go ahead and do that stuff. So we're just gonna do it this way and see what we get. Okay, so pretty much I have this set up already. And what we're gonna do first is we're gonna go down the line here. And first we're starting out with the reactive load. So we're first gonna get this clean sound, okay? So let's see what the clean sounds like just through this. So I'm happy with the tone of that. Now the thing is about this is with the Sir, we have to kind of play with it a little bit because whenever I have it at bedroom levels right now. Whenever I go through the actual Sir, I'm going to take the speaker out, okay, just like so, and I have to actually get the levels right on this guy. So let's go ahead and do the levels on this. I typically like it around -8 dB is kind of my magic spot. So let's go ahead and turn this up. And turn this up, it's going to give us a little bit of crunch and gain. So it'll be a little bit different, but not much. So let's see where we're at. And mind you, I do have the DI level on this all the way up because this is also a 1 watt, so I can't pump as much out of this as I would a 100 watt. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, let's go ahead and start the capture. So we got the clean for the DSL. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the Ultra Gain for the DSL. So let's go ahead and hear that. So I need to pick a riff that I'm gonna play each time. So, okay. Let's try this riff again. All right, so let's go ahead and capture this one. One of the things that is totally rad about this Fryette PS100 is that you can have it going through the speaker and attenuate it at the same time as you're capturing this. I don't have to have it blasting loud to get the levels up on the quad Cortex. So right now we're... So I'll know exactly what I'm capturing when I'm capturing it. With the Sir, it was a little bit of a problem because the way around it is you could get like through the headphone jack. What I did was put a IR loader pedal in the middle of it so I could hear what it sounded like with an IR on it. But that doesn't really do well for us, and that was one of the things that's kind of tough. Now, if you got this going through a computer and you got an IR loader going that way, that works great. So that's one reason to get the Sir with the IR loader on it. I don't know what more capabilities you can do with that. Hopefully you can just plug a headphone into it and just hear what it sounds like in there and just get whatever you want out of that. But I particularly like the way of doing the Fryette because I'm hearing exactly what's going to be captured into this cab. I want apples to apples when it comes to that. So that's why this Fryette is really cool. Now, granted, this is $1,000, pretty expensive piece of gear, but man, I have to say this is an awesome piece of gear. If you're ever wanting to buy another amp and you just got that money, go ahead and get one of these if you have a few amps on you and a quad Cortex. All right, so I'm gonna do the clean on this and then do the Ultra Gain. And this is the clean for the Fryette power station with the DSL in there. Just on the edge of breakup there. Right now we're doing the Ultra Gain with the Fryette. All right, so I'm about to start on this Rock Crusher recording, and I wanted to tell you guys a few things about this thing. What's cool about this, when it's turned on, it kind of gives you like a little line level. So this first dial here is the line level. I do have the EQ off, so anything I do here, I'm not going to be using the EQ for this at all. So it's just going to be straight through and seeing what this can pull out for us. Same kind of thing, it goes out to the speaker and I can attenuate it so I can hear exactly what I'm capturing. So we'll be able to hear the difference between that as well. And here is what the clean sounds like. Just on the edge of breakup again. All right, let's go ahead and capture it. Okay, so this is what it sounds like the Rivera attenuated in the Ultra Gain stage. Let's do our riff. Cool. This wouldn't be a capture video without the alien sounds. Right? Yeah. Yeah, give me some of that. That's what I want. All right, so now we're on to the Peavey. So this Peavey Ultra Plus, I'm gonna tell you a few things about this guy. I'm gonna have this output to half power so we can, you know, cook the preamp tubes a little more. I'm gonna put the resonance switch at medium, okay? For the clean, we're going to do a bright switch, so the bright switch is on now. And we're gonna keep the EQ halfway. So this is what this sounds like. Very nice cleans going on there. All right, so let's go ahead and capture this. I'll go ahead and do the Orange Channel and the Red Channel. But what I'm gonna do with those, I'm gonna actually get the best sound I can out of this, you know, to my ear. And then we'll go ahead and leave those settings the way they are, and we'll go ahead and compare these. Okay, having some issues here actually. I keep on getting it failed. Even though the levels are doing pretty good right now, I'm going through the SIR using the Peavey, but I'm going to turn off the bright switch to see if that helps, allowing it to finish. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. So I just wanted to note that it did pass the sanity check with the bright switch on with the power station. I did have to play with the volumes a little bit, but I went through the SIR and did it, I don't know, like 6 times just to try to get it right. And I was messing with the volume and everything, and it just wouldn't take. So I had to take the bright switch off on that one. So there's a bit of information for you there. All right. What's up, everybody? Now we're getting to the actual video of actually comparing these. I've already gone ahead and did the captures for all these things. There are a few things to note about each one of these. So let me go ahead and start off with the setup, okay? I'll go ahead and walk around here and just kind of show you guys what I've got going on. So first things first, how I have this set up so we can have as much, the least amount of variable. Here is the amp selector. I've used this on my channel many a times. And the first one's going to be the Quad Cortex, second one's going to be the Marshall, and then the third one is going to be the Peavey. I have this line selector on at all times. So what that's going to do is allow me to switch through this seamlessly. So I have all the amps on. Right now they're all on the clean, and we'll be able to look through this camera to see which one we're using. Now, don't worry about this preset here. It's just something that I had. There's nothing else going to be used. It's going straight through to the in, and it's going through the multi-out back through the Fryette. Okay, so with the Fryette, we're just going straight through this for the Quad Cortex. So there might be some coloring after the captures. I wouldn't expect too much of a color difference from what was captured through each of these load boxes. Let's go ahead and talk about this, the Quad Cortex here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through, I've got all these set up and labeled. So let's go ahead and switch to the Marshall, and we're on the clean for the SIR. And just to keep in mind, I'm going to go through it with the SIR captures, then the Fryette captures, and then the Rivera captures, okay? Right now we're on the Quad Cortex, and here's the clean for the Marshall capture. All right, so let's see what the Marshall sounds like. It already sounds like the SIR just had a little more gain to it. Now, remember, what we're doing here is trying to find the most accurate device to do these captures for the Quad Cortex. So right now, let's go back to the Quad Cortex and its capture. Okay, you know, to tell you the truth, this is probably not the best comparison because I am in a house where I can't do it really loud. I do have the level pretty low, and I don't have a master volume on the Marshall. So we're going to have to just kind of go by the tone of it and not the gain structure that is going on here. So it would make sense that the Quad Cortex would be a little more gainy, because we were pumping that a lot more to get it to be able to be captured. We'll give it a little bit of a pass on this, but let's check out the tone of them, all right? Marshall. Very different. Okay. I'm not very impressed with that one. Because the Marshall sounds like it just has a deeper tone to it. All right, let's go over to the Peavey. Okay, this will be the Ultra Green for the SIR. All right, so here's what it sounds like with the Quad Cortex. A lot quieter. bring that up. Okay. So let's hear the Peavey. Now this one we didn't have the bright switch on, so let's go ahead and turn that off. Now this sounds a lot closer. Go back to the quad cortex. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the Fryette. So we're going to go back to the DSL. All right. So here's what the DSL sounds like with the Fryette capture. Now I would expect more gain on the DSL because we pushed that pretty high. So let's go over to the DSL and see what that sounds like. As far as tone-wise, I would say it cleaned it up. It sounds like the Fryette just kind of cleaned up the tone there a little bit. To the DSL. Now the more we push the volume on this guy, because it's a classic gain clean, the thicker it would sound. So I would say that's pretty accurate. It's got a little bit of gain to it. Back to DSL. Even though it doesn't sound, turning the volume up on this Marshall, that would definitely get the thickness, but the tone is there. So I'll give that one a pass. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to Fryette for the Ultra. All right, so let's go ahead and compare those. So this is the Ultra's capture through the Fryette. Now the Fryette was able to capture it with the bright switch on. So let's go ahead and turn this bright switch on. All right, and then let's go over to the Ultra and see what it sounds like. That sounds really close. Back over to quad cortex. Maybe a volume difference there, but let's turn that up a little bit. That's pretty accurate there. That's good. I'm impressed with that. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and check out the Rock Rivera for the cleans there too. All right, so we're going to go to the Rivera Clean DSL capture. So this is what that sounds like right now. Ooh, that is a lot louder. That's something to note. All right, let's go to DSL. Quad cortex capture. It sounds like the Rock Crusher recording colors the tone a little bit. Well, that's not bad. DSL. Quad Cortex. So I like that. It makes sense to me that that's what I would capture with the volume turned up on the DSL. So right now with it being so low, it being a little thin, makes sense. That's pretty good. Let's actually compare the Rock Rivera to the Fryette Clean. So here's the Fryette Clean. All right. Rivera Clean. That's pretty close. And the Sur Clean. The Sur has a lot more gain to it. So it seems like it was more accurate in that sense. Okay. Fryette. And Rock Rivera. All right, let's go over to DSL. Rock Rivera. Fryette. And the Sur. Now the Sur is a lot more believable. So back to the Marshall. It's hard to tell. For the gain level, the Sur I think wins. Pretty clean. So going back to the Fry. Not too much gain there. And the Rivera. Not there either. But that's Sur. It's a totally different tone. Huh. Okay. So let's move on to some of the gain stuff here. All right. So we're going to try out the Sur. We're going to go do the Sur, the Fryette, and then the Rock Rivera, and compare each one of them to the DSL. That sounds pretty good. And this is the Marshall. The Sur. So it did keep the characteristic of like the scoop mids that these DSLs have. That's really convincing. Not bad, you know, except for this feedback that's coming through because of all this stuff. But I like that. Let's turn that down a little bit. All right. That is really close. All right, so let's check out the Fryette. Let's see what the Fryette sounds like. Less gain. Huh. Definitely less gain for sure. Now let's go to the Rivera. So this is the Rivera. DSL. That didn't even sound like it at all. It's not totally a bad thing, but it sounds way too low. It doesn't have that sizzle that you typically would get from a Marshall. Yeah, I'm not convinced on that one. Let's go back to the Sir. Sir. That top end sizzle that the Marshalls have is apparent on the Sir. I like that. That's not bad at all. GSL. Okay. Sir. All right, let's go down through the actual low boxes and compare them to each other. So we heard the Sir. So here's the Fryette. Which, you know, I think you could kind of, you know, tweak the settings on that a little bit to make it work. Here is the Rivera. Sir. See that sizzle's there that you would get from the Marshall. Man. And he cleans it up just a tad. That is really nice. Fryette. That's not a bad tone either. Let's see what it sounds like with open chord. It sounds like I can hear the chords a little more. Maybe not. Rivera. Rivera. I am not convinced on that one, but the Sir I really dig. So that was the Marshall and the Sir. Wow. So I think I'm leaning towards the Sir on this one for the Ultra Gain. Okay, so let's go over to the Peavey Ultra and let's do the Orange Channel. Okay, we're going to switch to the Orange Channel. We'll have a little bit more of a accurate sound comparison because there's a master volume on this one, and I can turn this down and actually pump the preamp on this. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to the Sir's Orange. Okay, so we're on that, and let's make sure. Oh, that sounds great. And this is the amp. All right. So actually, let's turn it up just a tad. All right, cool. Let's go over to the Quad Cortex capture. So this is the Sir. Going back into the Ultra. A lot darker on the actual amp. And I actually like the way it sounds with the Sir capture. It almost has that sizzle like the Marshall did. I wonder if that's just a characteristic of the Sir. It sounds like two different amps. The gain, the amount of gain there is about the same, but it just sounds like two different amps. Yeah. All right, let's check out the Fryette. Let's see, the orange. Okay. All right, now the Ultra. That sounds a lot more accurate. This one sounds a little more nasally, the Fryette capture for the quad Cortex. It sounds like I could just add a little more mids to the Fryette capture and get there. All right, let's check out the Rock Rivera. All right, here's the Rock Rivera. All right, so here is the Ultra. So sounds like the same thing. Let's go back over here. So this is the Rock Rivera. Even though it says Fryette, it is the Rock Rivera. Let's compare these two. That one. There we go. Okay. Rivera. This is the Fryette. Rivera. So the Rivera sounds darker for sure. The Fryette just has a little more bite, which I like that. And then here's the Ultra. So the Ultra has a little bit more bite than the Fryette capture. Going back to the Fryette capture. Ultra. But that is really close there. I'm happy with that. I think out of these, I think the Fryette wins for being the most accurate. To my ears, maybe not to your ears. Maybe it sounds different through the actual computer. I don't know. You tell me. All right, so I'm going to go through this, those orange captures again, the Sir, the Fryette, and the Rock Rivera, just so you can hear them all together. Here's the Sir. The Fryette. A lot more mid forward. All right, and then the orange for the Rock Rivera. A lot more nasally it sounds. Sir. Right. And the Rock Rivera. And last but not least, we're going to do the Ultra. Going back to the Fryette. Yep. So the Fryette is definitely the most accurate out of these three. All right, so let's go to the red channel on the Peavey Ultra and see if these can handle the gain and keep the tone. Okay, we are on the red on the Sur. I love that thing. This amp rules. All right, so here's the Quad Cortex for the Sur. A lot lower. What happened there? There's a lot of noise introduced on this one. Going back to the Ultra. The tone is kind of there, but it's lacking a lot. The gain is there. It sounds super scooped out, and the Ultra sounds very mid-forward. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the red for the Fryette. Ooh, a little bit louder. All right, Ultra. All right, I'm hearing the same thing with this one. It sounds like it needs a tad bit more mids on the actual capture. So that's the Ultra amp. Here's the Quad Cortex. I mean, that's pretty close. It's not as beefy, but I'm sure we could change that. All right. I like that capture. So let's go over to the Rock Rivera. Compare that to the actual amp. The Rock Rivera is definitely darker, more nasally. That's the amp. I don't know if I could use the tone settings to get that out. So let's go back to the Fryette. Okay, that sounds really close. I like that. I like the Fryette between these. So let's go back to the Sur and just kind of verify that. It's really low. There's a lot of noise introduced. It sounds really brittle too, but I noticed that there was a lot of noise coming through on the Sur and the Fryette, but the Rock recording didn't have as much noise coming through on the actual capture. So anything I did, I couldn't get the feedback, or not the feedback, but just the noise level out of it. The Rock Rivera recording, it wasn't as loud on this guy, but it was extremely loud on both of these. And it might be the amp, and it might be all these connections and all that stuff too. So who knows? So the Sur is definitely lower. To the Fryette. Whoa. All right. Back to the Ultra. And let's go back to the Rock Rivera recording. Super nasally. Yeah, and I don't know if I can even, you know, use the settings to get that out. I wouldn't call that the Ultra. The Ultra just has this kind of bite to it. And let's go back to the Fryette again. Yep, there we go. I think the Fryette is beating all of them on the actual gain levels and the tone accuracy for the gain channels. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think about this stuff. It's you know, it's going to sound different through the microphones, and I'm sure it's a little more articulate. But out here for the gain channels, I'm going with the Fryette. I'm surprised that the Sir did so well with the Marshall on the clean channel, because the clean channel was pushing a little bit of gain because the level was pretty high up there. But these other two didn't even catch any of that. It just sounded like a clean channel. But the Sir did very well on the clean channel with that. Each of these have, you know, their ups and downs about them and stuff. Overall, I would probably just stick with the PS100. I've already made that decision a long time ago. This, with the Quad Cortex being a power amp, being a load box, a tool for capturing, you can change the impedances up and down on the back of this thing. It's got an effects loop, and it has a button where you can actually make the return of the amp louder, which is great for the Quad Cortex to bring it up to that 100 watt. And you can take a smaller amp and make it huge sound. There's just so much to this. Also being a reactive load that I love about this. You know, these are great for their certain things, but I feel like the Sir is definitely, sometimes it gets something really good. So just notice, I don't know if I showed you this before, but the DI level is all the way up on this, so I can get decent captures. I have not tried the reactive load one. They may have gotten better with this stuff, but you know, this one's about $300 or so, $350. I can't remember, but it's the cheapest. Coming down to the Rock Rivera, it's probably about like $600 or so, something like that. And this is a very good tool as well. It's an awesome attenuator. I love using this as an attenuator. It's probably the most accurate sound attenuator. I kind of leave this up here. Anytime I got a big amp, I just kind of use that so I can get the feel of the amp much more. And these little equalization pieces are really awesome too. You can switch between 16 and 8 on this. And the fact that you have an EQ for the line out to do any kind of like speaker emulation kind of stuff, that's a really cool feature. Neither of these have that kind of stuff, but if that's something that kind of stands out amongst these, is the speaker emulation portion of this. And I've already told you everything about the PS100 and why I love it. And for my needs, this kind of touches all bases for me. All right, guys, I hope you liked it. I'll see if I can splice this all together, something nice for you guys just to kind of listen through. I hope this was informative. Go ahead, let's talk about this stuff. I've not ever tried an aux box. I haven't tried the Captor X. I'm sure they're great. The Captor X will be great to kind of compare these two as well. So, hope you guys liked it. DMD out. There's one more thing. I will have these captures up on my Quad Cortex DMDQC. So on the Quad Cortex cloud, go check it out. I'll have all of these up there so you can put it on your rig and actually hear what it sounds like. Now, remember, I didn't use this for IRs. I use this for a tube power amp. So it's pushing the tube, and that's why I'm getting the tones that I'm getting out of this. Maybe you have a solid state, maybe want to see more Duncan power stages or any kind of power amp. I am getting the tones I'm getting partly because of this Fryette power station and it's all too. Go ahead and check out the captures. Tell me what you think. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Catch y'all later.